Well, here we are back at the ranch, so to speak, and on film anyway, a few things that you haven't seen before. This is the completed pole building, and they poured the concrete on the 17th of March. Today is the 21st of March, 2023, the first full day of spring. It's in the 60s today, so not too bad, and dry, which is good. So we'll take a look at the pole barn. It is 48 feet in this direction, outside dimension. 14 feet tall. That is an 8-foot door tall by 10 feet wide. And the pole barn is 30 feet deep. Again, that's the outside dimension. So it's got the concrete floor. The building itself is complete, and with overhead door and gutters and downspouts. So that's it. I don't think you've seen this on film before. Some grading is going to be necessary with some topsoil. I've got a price on that for a local contractor to work on, and we'll just take a quick look inside the pole barn or the pole building. So we have a nice apron here out front, and they did a better than expected job on the floor. It's dusty from where they made the saw cuts for expansion joint control, and I've got the building wrap on the inside under the steel sides, and as you can see, I've got a window, that's an egress window, converting this space here at the end to an apartment. And those pipes in the floor are for the plumbing and electric therefore. That's why those two doors are side by side. One door would lead into the living quarters, and the other door would lead into the shop space. So it's only been 3 days. After a week, the concrete has developed about 70% of its strength, but not yet strong enough to drive vehicles on. And of course, it takes about 28 to 30 days for concrete to cure, so I cannot apply sealer to the floor until that time, which means even though I can put some small items on the floor weight-wise, I don't want to put too much stuff in here and then have to move it around in order to apply the concrete sealer. So that's the pole building, and the eave at the bottom of the truss is 14 feet. At the ridge, the top of the truss is 19 feet. And one of my first projects is to apply a radiant barrier, vapor barrier, air barrier to the underside of the roof. And that way that'll prevent condensation, which I've already had. When the pour was done last Friday, the building was closed up, and the slab itself would off-gas some water, which would then condense on the roof, on the underside of the roof. So I need to prevent that. As soon as the floor gets sealed, the concrete is cured, then I will take care of that, and that'll give me a nice dry roof underside, so it doesn't rain inside on a sunny day, but cold morning. So that's the pole building. And this dirt around here was some of the dirt that was left over from preparing the pad on the inside. The site was generally prepared, but then it was somewhat disturbed when the building was built, post holes dug, etc. And so the preparation for the slab required that they removed about, I don't know how much earth, but this was the fill, and it has been spread around this side of the building. As you can see, the downspouts all have about a 3 to 4 foot leader and a splash block, so that the water is carried away from the building, and this slope here is also away from the building, as it is on 3 sides. This side here, there's not much of a slope away from the building, but this section of the garage will get demolished, and then I'll be grading underneath this to allow for drainage away from the pole building and away from the old garage. What else is going on here? Well, the second floor of the porch had been torn off, but in doing so there was some roof repair needed, some gutters, so that's all been done. And the porch roof has been done, as well as a gutter and downspout. So they pretty well matched what was at the top as far as the fascia, the soffit, and the frieze board. And that's wrapped in either vinyl, as in the case of the soffit, or aluminum. as in the case of the fascia and the frieze board. So don't have to worry about painting that. Obviously the gutters do need to be cleaned. That's a regular maintenance item. Unless, of course, I were to get something like gutter guard, but I'll consider that in the future. The other thing you may have noticed here is that on this side completely, the porch, as well as the entire back side of the house, has been completely stripped of the shingles. So the original clapboards have been exposed, and I need to take a look at them. The porch, which I think was not original to the house, even though I thought maybe the first floor of it was, upon further thought and consideration, I don't think the porch was original to the house. Maybe something was, but as I say, it's hard to determine. So in any event, the porch has sheathing on it, the boards running diagonally, and then there were no clapboards, and then the shingles were applied to that. So here are the clapboards. The porch needs to get re-sided, and I would use something like the HardiePlank siding. And in fact, I may consider removing the original clapboards on the back of the house in order to get everything married properly so that it is nice and watertight. So while you get an idea as to what the house will look like with the clapboards restored, here on the back, as I say, I may in fact actually do the entire back side of the house in the HardiePlank, and that way everything is all at one level and everything can join up properly. Because there are a lot of holes in the house when you make these types of modifications. Here at the porch itself, what I've done is I've taken out the original windows and saved them, not in the case of these two, but in the case of these two, and reframed the opening to accept 2 of the 8 windows that I have in storage. So they're approximately the same size, so from a elevation architectural standpoint, the new windows will be pretty much the same configuration as the old windows. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I can line up the sill and the trim so that it looks pretty much like it did before the modification. So I've got these 2 windows temporarily in place. I had to, do a little bit of reframing. But the other 6 will go the same way, and it seems to be working out okay. Inside the house, I actually have 2 of these 2 windows here that I removed, and removed them as an assembly. So I left the sashes in place, and the window jambs, and the window sill, and so forth. There's one of them right there. A little difficult to see all the detail on it, but it's going to go in that opening there. And across the way, I have the other window that I took out this morning. It's resting here, and it is going to go in this opening here. So again, I took out the window with the sash, the jambs, the pulleys, the head jamb, and the interior sill. So that is all one unit, and it's about the same weight as the vinyl replacement windows. So it's in good condition. It can be restored with a little TLC, and it's going to go right there. So all the windows on the front of the house will be old. Some of these windows are original to 1890. The ones in the back porch, I'm not sure how old they are. As I say, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely convinced that the porch is original, but the porch is fairly old. My guess is the porch is at least 60 years old and maybe even older. But in any event, so that's the original windows in their opening. The sash on that one is broken. And then here are the replacement windows. So again, the idea is to see if I can get them to be configured almost exactly like the old windows. And no one will be the wiser, except that obviously these are vinyl and modern and double pane, whereas the original windows are single pane and they're not modern and they're wood. But they're all going to get fixed up, so be as good as new or even better with the addition of double glazed storm window that I'll be making for them when they are installed in their other locations. So that's sort of it for now as far as what's been happening. Got the pole barn, working on the porch, got the roof repairs done on the back side of the house. So On we go to finish up the porch, re-side the back of the house, strip off the old shingles all around the house, and work on the inside, plumbing, electric, and so forth, while we're waiting for the concrete to cure in the pole barn. That's it for now.